So we sort of, my 3 picks. I did a little bit of new, a little bit of pre-owned. Take it for how you want. But I will get us underway. I guess maybe I'll go, you go, we'll go back and forth. We'll figure this out. We'll try not to confuse the guys in the back too much.
Popcorn.
So for my first watch, it's a watch that I've talked about before. The price point is well under the $7,000. It actually retails for $1,850, and it is the Oris Diver 65 watch. So this is a watch that was issued a few years ago, definitely vintage inspired, as you guys can see. They've made it in quite a few different variations, different colors, both on a rubber strap and on a bracelet, and I think also some like suede-esque straps as well.
Yeah, they've accessorized nicely.
Yeah. So the variation that I have here features a blue dial. It's not a flat dial, it's a rounded dial. Tim knows the word that I'm looking for.
Cambered.
Camber dial. So it's got a lot of character to it. What I love about the watch is you've got a stainless steel case, a DLC coated bezel. You've got a blue dial, which isn't your typical blue. It's like almost like an aqua color.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a metallic too.
Exactly. Mixed with the gray. I'm a big fan of the numbers. In my mind, they're Asian inspired, but you probably have a little bit more feedback on what they actually are.
Yeah, the watch is called the Diver 65 because it draws pretty faithfully on its source material. Now, stretching back to Oris's great heritage in sports watches from the 60s, they brought forth a watch that was pretty much spot on. Now, there have been different iterations. There's even been one without a date. I think it's important to clarify that this model does have a nicely balanced date at 6 o'clock. It's there if you want it. It disappears if you're not looking for it, which is really the best solution when you're dealing with a date on a diver. And anchoring it at 6 o'clock just above the numeral allows the preservation of those relieved 4 corners that Brian mentioned as a highlight of the style.
Exactly, and measuring at 40 millimeters is extremely wearable. One of the things that really caught my attention on the watch when I first started it on was just how soft the rubber strap is. It's not your typical really hard rubber that really is form-fitting. It's almost soft, like a leather. And I really like that. It's super comfortable to wear. The price point, I think, is extremely hard to beat. And a lot of the watches that I'm sort of looking at now and gravitating towards are these, $1,500 to $4,000 watches that I think are extremely wearable. You can really beat them up. You can have a lot of diversity in your collection because of the price point. Instead of just having one $10,000 or $15,000 watch, you can have 3 to 5 of these. And I think that this movement of heritage-inspired watches is really catching on amongst brands like Oris and Longines, and it's really being adopted by collectors.
And I think it makes most sense at this price point because I'll be honest, once you start talking about $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a tribute watch, you really have to ask yourself, should you maybe just save a little bit more and get that which you most earnestly desire, the real thing? So that,
I most earnestly desire this piece.
Okay, I'm just saying, at $2,000, the price is right.
Exactly, and I think at $2,000, it's the kind of thing that you cannot feel guilty about, and you can just buy it because you like it.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't know how they did the order here, but why don't you go next?
Yes, okay guys, so Brian likes the simple, I like the complex, which is why I'm going with the late, great, mid-90s to early 2000s Zenith El Primero Crona Master 410. 40 millimeters, stainless steel, stepped lugs, fluted bezel, absolutely gorgeous, and a certified chronometer, as if a triple date moon phase El Primero were not desirable enough.
I feel like you've talked about this watch before.
Well, my opinion has not changed. The heart grows fonder with time, and to be honest, this watch is not a sub 7, it's a sub 6, as you will find these all day long between 5 and 5.5. A great value, a good size at 40, it's not undersized, it's not too vintagey, but right around 2001, 2002, they stopped going for chronometer certifications, even though the style was continued. So the one to get, that sweet spot, is between like 1994 and 2001. A lot of value in a handmade watch from a great manufacturer.
And it really shows you how much value there is in these, I don't even want to say older pieces, but brands like Zenith that'll give you this kind of watch at that sort of price. Because if this same exact watch was made by brands such as Vacheron or Patek or even an Audemars, I mean, the price point would be wackadoodle.
Absolutely.
And I just did use the word wackadoodle.
Again, a company that's been around forever and will be around forever. You never have service concerns in spite of the complexity.
Exactly. Great watch. Moving on from my next pick would be the Omega Speedmaster first Omega in space. And FOIS, I guess, is what they say for short.
So if you're looking for the forum handle, that's it.
FOIS. So this watch is a homage to the 1962 CK2998, which was the first Omega in space.
Yes.
And ironically enough, they came out with another homage to the CK2998.
A much more literal one, yes.
Called the 2998 a few years later. But what I like about this watch, I like that it's quintessentially a Speedmaster. And I think that if I was going to buy a Speedmaster, I'd want the look and feel. I like the bones that it's of the watch itself. I like that it's a numbered edition. It gives it a little bit more of a scarce factor, so to speak, even though it's not a limited edition. I've worn Omegas on bracelets, Speedmasters on bracelets, I've worn them on straps, and to be honest, like I find myself enjoying Speedmasters more on straps than I do on bracelets, which is why this watch really hit home for me. And I think that sort of brown canvas, it's really soft and buttery, fits the wrist really nicely. And it's a watch that you can sort of see yourself wearing and never getting rid of. And I like that when you look at it, you think this could be a Speedmaster from, from 40, 50 years ago, and it could be a Speedmaster that they're making now.
And I love the fact, this is my input on it, that Omega went all in with this design, no compromise. They changed the printing of the marquee on the dial. They went with the original Alpha-style hands. They went with the unbeveled symmetrical case. A few years back in the 90s, there were a lot of vintage tribute Omega Speedmasters that used the modern case form and dial and hands. Here, Omega really went all out to make it look like a vintage Speedmaster. It looks the part, it feels the part, and even though it wasn't a limited edition, it was numbered, I feel like this is one of the great modern Speedmaster special editions.
And one of the other things that I really like about the watch is that it's got a sapphire crystal bezel. Sorry, sapphire crystal, as opposed to the Hesalite crystals that some of the other Speedmasters have. Because there's nothing more annoying than getting a tiny scratch on it, and even though you can buff it out, it's a huge pain in the ass. So I like that it's got a sapphire crystal, and then at the same time, a lot of the watches that Omega does with the sapphire crystal and the sapphire crystal sandwich, it ends up being too thick, which I also don't like. So I think that the watch is extremely wearable, it's practical as well, and I think that if you're going to own one Speedmaster or even one Omega, this would be the one for me.
And it's a great choice. And it's more faithful to the 2998 than the CK2998 Tribute, which was all blue. Okay, so rolling on, guys, from a chronograph to a travel watch, and one of my favorites, this is a watch that's under $7 whether you buy it new or pre-owned, but it is the Nomos Zurich Weltzeit Nachtblau. Possibly the coolest version of Nomos' coolest watch. It's a great traveler companion, $6,100 if you buy it new, about $4 to $4.5. It's a pretty narrow pre-owned price spread if you buy it pre-owned. The watch is gorgeous. First of all, 39.9 millimeters. They're German, so they're very precise. It's not 40. I love that. But it's also designed by a great industrial designer, the late Hans Wettstein, so it has a true artistic sensibility. It doesn't feel like an industrial product. That blue is warm and humane. The little home plate signature at 3 o'clock next to your reference time is fun. It's the little wink and the nod and the smile from your watch. And I'll say in the lug profile, it's got a little bit of 1960s Hoyer Carrera to it as well. So a great traveler, one of the most complex Nomos watches you can buy, and one of the largest. It's very versatile. On the Horween horse strap, it looks absolutely stunning. And again, a great buy whether you go new or pre-owned, with a lovely in-house caliber DUW 5201. Automatic winding, Nomos swing system, with a DUW designation. It's not just an in-house, but it's got their full assortment. Beautiful, nicely made, even has some hand-finished components in that movement. I don't think you can do much better for $6,100.
No, and I agree. I think one of the best parts about the watch as well is just how easy it is to use. It's not overly complicated. You just push the button and it sets it to the time. As far as world times go, I think that it's a niche category.
It is.
That if you're looking to buy a world time watch, they tend to be expensive, and they tend to be made by the best manufacturers. And if you want a Patek World Time or a Vacheron World Time or even a Jaeger World Time, you're not going to get away inexpensively. And that's why I think a lot of people end up getting GMTs, because more brands make GMTs and it's almost more practical. This watch is absolutely gorgeous, and I think that it's a great way to get into a niche product like a World Time, have a great watch at under $7 grand.
Yeah, and remember guys, if you wanted to get a Jlc Master Geographic, even the sector dial, the stripped down version, you'd be spending most of $10,000 to make that happen. Here you're getting the same functionality, albeit without a date, but you're getting it with a lot more colorful character with the blue dial.